Welcome to Coach's Corner for week 5 of the high school football season. Hard to believe that we hit the halfway point this week and the Wildcats travel to Muskogee in our longest road trip of the year. We'll talk about that with Coach Allen on this edition of Coach's Corner. Ponca City is 0-1 in district play after a homecoming loss to Tulsa, Washington. And Coach, we might just talk about that game a little bit. Booker T scored on the first play of the game. Ironically, they scored on the last play of the game, and they did a lot of good things in between. How's the team right now?
Oh, the team's fine. I mean, we're fine. Obviously, we took a bad loss and got beat very handily. I mean, probably just very dominant performance by Booker T on us. And how's that do the kid? Well, the guys what I told me that right now that's a special football team right now we played. I mean, there's a reason why we got beat the way they did, and some things are on us. Obviously, some things we need to get better at. As far as we need to find, when you can sift through the great athletes, what we need to get better at to go forward against other teams that are a little bit more down to earth. But Booker T, a lot of that was on them. They're a great football team, but there's things we do that we. Because listen, let's say our goal is to make the playoffs. We could face them again in the playoffs, and we're just not going to accept that. Okay, we would, there's things we would do differently now after playing them now that we would do playing them again. Whether that changes the outcome, as of right now, I don't think changes would still do enough. But that later in the year, things could change, and we would like to find out. So. But there is some personnel things we looked at, fundamental things we looked at that we need to address on the defensive side and on the offensive side. We ran the ball, I think for over 150 against them, against a very good front. Nickel and dimed it, but still we got to start making plays when we play teams like that in the passing game. And right now we just wide receivers got to start making play. I think Kyle Larson's throwing the ball all 3 games. I think he's really focused in. Had a couple of turnovers, but overall, I think Booker T had a big he needs to get some help from his wideouts, and so that'll be a focus point going forward through the next 6 games. Is for us to put up the points we need to each night and pull these games out. We're gonna our passing game is gonna have to rise to a certain level, because I think our running game is going to be there every week. The question mark is how well we're going to throw the ball. And right now, I think it leans more on our wide receivers more than it does our quarterback. So,
we see momentum, and if you watch high school football, it's the great equalizer. We had it against Enid. We rolled them. In the Guthrie game, nobody really got the ball rolling. But when we watched the Booker T game in the pregame, the one thing I said was, if you follow Booker T, you cannot let them out of the gate. You got to keep them contained. They're going to make their plays, yeah. But when they came out and hit you with a 74-yard run right off the bat, and then they get the ball back, and you could almost just see it building, Josh, couldn't you?
Absolutely, yeah. Right from the get-go. That was not a way to start off the game, and it was, you're right. Bad feelings started to set in quick on our sideline, and you're right. That's a momentum thing in football. And you start getting thoughts in your head and bad feelings, and in football you got to battle through that. But with Booker T, it was you gotta exactly. It would have been nice to get at least a punt or stop early, and make them work for the first couple of drives before they ever did bust out one on you, and not just immediately. So I agree with you. It would have been nice to control them right at the front of the game, out of the gate, and that's how you compete against them, is get them, keep the momentum from just sliding on you. And us, it rained, it poured, at that point.
Well, there are road trips, and then there's this week's game against Muskogee. Even for Ponca City, this is a long road trip, and we travel all the time. But, Coach, you go to Muskogee for obviously the longest road trip of the year. I know that things change when you go that distance. You have to kind of get the kids maybe out of school a little bit early. I'm saying this stuff.
No,
you might make a stop somewhere to let them get out and stretch it a little bit. it's just a little bit different when you travel across the state.
Yeah, honestly, I've never taken the guys out of school yet. We've always just gone to Tulsa area, and really, Bixby maybe our longest road trip, or Claremore JV. We've been to JV for Claremore, and been Bixby several times. Or Sapulpa. That's been our longest trip since I've been here, and or maybe PC West in Oklahoma City. That's about it. So we've never had to get our guys out of school. We're going to have to actually release them from to probably miss their 5th and 6th hour, just so we can get on the road and get going. And we're probably going to have to make a stop, stop and let them stretch their legs and do one of those. It is a long trip, longer than usual, and it presents some problems that way.
The Muskogee Roughers won their district opener on Friday night against Sapulpa, and they beat us last year here, Coach. So we're also going to run into a very good team on the road.
Oh, absolutely, very good team. That being said, this is very, very winnable football game for us. But again, a very good team. They're going to have good athletes. They got some really, really good players. Their receiving core and their safeties on defense, very, very good looking. Their linebackers on defense and their defensive ends, very good looking guys that can play well. Their quarterback is a returning starter, and their tailback is a guy that can go as well. So we got another big challenge, but I believe in our guys. I believe we took a really big one this past Friday. Took it to us pretty well, but again, I think I think we're these last 6 games we're going to be able to compete with our opponents and give ourselves a chance to win. So, but yeah, good athletes in Muskogee. Coach Watkins is one of the best coaches in the state. Has been, built Guthrie up, and now he's on his 2nd year. So, and they had, and their record is because they played really tough non-district games. Fayetteville is pretty much the best team in the state of Arkansas. Would be in the class of a Broken Arrow, Jinx, or Union, comparable. So they played them. They played Owasso, and I think McAllister 5A, a program there. So that's been their non-district play. So they got to Sapulpa. You can judge that film Sapulpa because that's not too different from us in a lot of ways, and they beat Sapulpa. So we got a big feat ahead of us, but definitely a game that we can get.
Is sometimes, Coach, a challenge when you have a game like this to completely forget? I mean, Booker T's over with. I don't want to talk about that game anymore. And but kids still will be, I'm sure, thinking about that. Is it part of the job of you and your coaches to, hey, forget that one. We'll worry about that one after the season. But you
absolutely. I've already started talking. I already talked to Connor Larson privately today. Going to talk to all our guys privately today, or as a team today. Well, maybe even pull individuals aside and just make sure our psyche's right, because that was we got it taken to us. So I want to make sure that our psyches are okay and we're good, and I think we are. I think our kids realize that team right now is a very, very above average football team that right now is setting its own destiny up. So. We just got to make sure our guys are refocused, and I think forgetting about it honestly feel might not be that difficult because it's game 4. I think it would have been harder honestly if we would have lost by like 2, a point or 2 points. That would have been harder to get over. This one is clearly Booker T was better than we were, and right now I think we'll be able to push that one aside and worry about what we got to worry about going forward and ourselves. And I think I don't think it's going to be that problematic. If we would have got beaten like that week 7, week 8, I think you would have had a psychological problem in your locker room. I think week 4, there's so much season left that that we can push that one aside and just refocus on how we compete with other teams and how we get better. And I think I think we do that. And I always told our coaching staff in our staff meeting Sunday, one win changes everything. We go down to Muskogee and get a win, and we're driving back. That Booker T will immediately be forgotten. And the fact that a win right now in our state of our program, a win, wins big, and it takes you a long way. So we get a win this weekend. we're feeling good about ourselves already again.
Well, a couple of things that people need to keep in mind. First of all, Booker T will be favored in every game they play.
There's no doubt.
They will be favored in every game they play. And like you said, it happened at a time where the goals of this football team are still attainable. Everything is still on the plate for the Ponca City football team and everybody else. So I guess as a driving force, you can talk about that in practice.
And also, yeah, and another thing, Phil, if we have problems, because we beat Enid, and obviously Enid's struggling right now. So, that win might not look as, impressive as things goes on. But, point is, to play a team like Booker T, I'd like to find out, honestly, where our mistakes are at or where we're insufficient at. I don't know if Shawnee still could have, I don't know if the Shawnee game would have pointed out some insufficiency. So I would rather just, lay it out. Where are we insufficient at that we as coaches can control and try to fix? And we've started that process. Well, I'd rather start that now in week 4, going into week 5 of where we are not as good as we thought we were at. Mm-hmm. So we might as well lay it on the cards on the table right now while there's still time, and let's address any issues of where we're not as good as where we thought we were at, and get to work on them. Because it's obviously we got a lot of season left. It's not too late, and I think moving on will be fairly easy because where the game was played at, and then if we get a win this week, that game will be long forgotten.
Well, 6 big games left for Ponca City, including a very, very big game. Just what has happened. The Muskogee game becomes a monster game for our Wildcats at 7 o'clock in Muskogee on Friday night. That's this week's Coach's Corner. For Gentleman Chris Adams behind the camera, for Coach Allen, I'm Phil Turney.